Near, 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 rip a hole in the sun. Welcome to Cum Paude. Why would you cum soft when you can cum louder? Yeah.
Welcome to Cum Paude, Cum Laude, Playoff Edition. We know that we haven't been able to deliver for you over the last couple of weeks. We've taken some time away, really needed to focus on growing this mustache for this episode. That's the only reason that you haven't seen an episode. Needed to make sure it was a mustache episode. Must have mustache for this episode. But hey, we're back. We know you all have been missing us. We really want to provide the content. We've let you down, but we're back. We're going to close out this season. We're going to try and get some consistency going here, leading us into the off season. We want to deliver the content for our people. So let's jump in. Last time we left you off with a shortened version. We talked about what the last week's 10 to 12 looked like, 10 to 11, and then what 12 to 13 and 14 we're going to look like getting into the playoffs. So we're going to talk about a little bit some highlights from 13 to 14. We're going to talk about the first round of the playoffs, look forward to the current round and the semifinals that we're at right now, and then we're going to add a little bit of content towards the end here, talking about the league decisions in 2024, the summit coming up, some of the decisions we need to make collectively as a league to continue to improve as a dynasty league that we are. We are in our third year now, going into fourth. Everything, it just keeps getting better every year, and we're going to keep doing that with some solid decisions and some learnings that we've had as we've moved forward. So we'll talk a little bit about the key topics that are going to come up for vote for the 2024 season, maybe 2025 season, depending on how big of a decision it is. So let's talk about the last 2 weeks of the regular season. What happened? We had the pubic Medusas lock in that number one spot, back-to-back victories to close out the year with a big victory over current matchup, Scooter Top G, with that victory 163 to 150, something in that nature. Maybe a preview of this week's matchup. Medusas locks up that number one spot. Last year's champ coming in hot, trying to do a repeat. We also see the Hammy Hamfists limp into the playoffs, getting defeated in week 14, 127 to 68. Don't know how that was going to shape up going to the playoffs, but got that spot after a very slow start in the win column, but has been hot all year long in the scoring column. Big news, league commish, the Ron Sword Enterprises gets ousted from the playoffs with a loss to the Healthy Twins in week 14. I'm not smiling on purpose. Never want anybody to lose in particular, but this was a tough one for the league commish. Really made some moves to try to build the team this year with the Justin Jefferson Tyreek Hill combo. Had some quarterback not issues, but some decisions that were made throughout the year between CJ Stroud and Trevor Lawrence. But really, the injury to Justin Jefferson hurt the win column. Couldn't string it together. Had the opportunity to win and in, just couldn't happen in week 14, and moved on to next year. That roster. With that happening, the Cum sale, can you believe it, hangs on to the 8th seed? Pretty amazing stuff that team has been in rebuild mode ever since we started this league, and expected this year to be yet another cellar dweller year to really impact those 2024 first round picks. And unfortunately for the Cum sale, they won some games this year, make it into the playoffs, and grab that 8th seed. What we look at happening in those last 2 weeks outside of wins and losses is we see the pubic Medusas making moves, saying they need to add some depth. They want to make sure this playoff run is going to stick and they can get a back-to-back championship. Ends up coming after Aaron Jones with 3 second-round picks over the next 3 years, countering over the top of picks, and locks it up with a trade with Dame Judi Dench. Gets Aaron Jones. Unfortunately, Aaron Jones reports is injured, as always, it feels like, in that final game of the playoffs, last game of the regular season. Didn't need him. Able to roster him in the first round of the playoffs and continue to roster him here. So we'll see if that pays off for the Medusas. Then, Marty is wheeling and dealing, makes it into the playoffs, slipped down a little bit in the standings after the final week, and grabs a hold of a dejected Ron Sword, who sees that they are not making the playoffs. They strike up a big old deal with Tyreek Hill and Joe Mixon and Chris Olave, some really big names going out there. Then it goes over to Pat, and Pat goes and grabs that says, I'm taking Tyreek back, makes a big old structured deal to go after getting Tyreek back. And then it waffles back. And then the Ron Sword pubic Medusa feeling that pressure, but the Minnesota Swordix decided, yeah, I'm going to hang on to Tyreek Hill. Ends up giving Joe Mixon up to Marty. Marty's trying to beef up, get that playoff run short up, and then ends up making a good deal there. Getting Joe Mixon, and more importantly, the Cleveland Browns defense, making that happen. So good to see some action there towards the end of the decision. We were in that final 24-hour counter period, making the decision leading right up to the final game of the year, as Tyreek Hill also got injured in that game. So I don't know if somebody might have dodged a bullet there in the end. We see a really strong finish from Give Me the Flowers. Yeah, Scooter Top G going in strong with some top scoring, looking like a really good, strong contender. And then, best for last, the old Dame Judi Dench versus the tight end girls, aka Jumbo Wieners, face off with a winner take all for the side bet of $100 in regular season. Who has the better team? And the Dame Judy's outlasts, coming back from being down throughout the year with many injuries, and the Jumbo Wieners didn't do themselves any favors with a lot of trades to make themselves younger in future years to come, really playing that dynasty angle, and it ends up with Dame Judy on top. Maybe we run it back next year. Teams finishing in the bottom of the league this year, and got some good draft picks coming in 2024, so maybe there's a double or nothing there on the radar. We'll have to see what the appetite is for that, but Dame Judy ends up winning the side bet of two shitty teams for the year of 2023. So let's talk about the first round of the playoffs. It's already passed. We've got some victors. We're down in the semifinals. We've got 4 teams left, but what happened? So we had Pubic Medusas. We had Scooter Top G, Beth's Healthy Twins, all higher seeds, just pretty much dominating that first round, taking down Cum Pies and Marty McFly's, going down. And that is, tough loss for the Marty McFly taint parties out there for any of you not familiar with Marty, but the taint pies do go down. Disappointing finish to the year, already ready to shake up their team, looking for trade bait after the finals do wrap up here. So look for some action there after week 17 finishes up. But Medusa Scoots and Beth Healthy Twins, they get on through to that next round, all sitting happy in the semifinals. And then the upset happens, unexpected. Number 2 seed, Big Dak Energy, falls to the Ham Fists. Ham Fists have been fighting all year long, making trades throughout the year to get some strong players, feeling the injuries with Keenan Allen going out, but they find a way to hang on with a victory by 5-6 points. Doesn't matter about the home field advantage, still able to get that victory. Upsets the number 2 seed, coming in there as the number 7. The Ham Fist moves on to the semifinals, and that is where we are now. We've had Thursday night playing last night, so we've got some scores out there already. Some big points from Puka Nakua there with the St. Louis Rams, going against Taysom Hill of the Ham Fist. So we've got Beth's Healthy Twins against the Ham Fist. Looks like Healthy Twins are out to a good start there. Ham Fist is going to come at you, though, with that Josh Allen, Steph Diggs combo. So we'll see how that shakes out between two teams that are really making some roster decisions here this week of who they want to start in their flex positions. We see Ezekiel Elliott is in the lineup right now. We see some injuries between Brian Robinson, and then you got Antonio Gibson as well. Decisions. Like I said, Keenan Allen is hurt, already ruled out yet again. So that's a big hitter for some trades that were made. Christian Kirk went out earlier this year, so that's hard. But Hamfist is fighting for sure, trying to make it happen. And Beth's Healthy Twins did the same. They flashed early in the year to make that trade, giving up Tyreek and getting some early draft picks, and Rashad White in return has really been playing out of their mind. But more so, Mostert tied for the lead in touchdowns this year in the regular season so far. So it's going to be a good matchup. There's still lots of game left, despite Puka versus Taysom Hill right now. Really hoping that we get some good action there in that Hammy twin matchup. And then we've got the power couple, Pubic Medusas and Scooter Topji. They played each other towards the end of the regular season. It was a big matchup, 163 to 150. Medusas came out on top. Scooter is scoring well right now. Had a mean pickup there, Ty Chandler, scoring big for the Minnesota Vikings and putting up monster points. See if we can get a repeat from there. Medusas has just been that all around solid team. No big decisions there in flex. You're just going to put out some monster names, some aging names, but this is a win now. Yet again, Medusa's positioning there that maybe they've got enough depth and age there that they can potentially go for a back-to-back here, maybe even a three-peat with the roster they have. But got to get some production out of Travis Kelsey. Kelsey's definitely focused too much on that singer that is dating him. So Kelsey's got to get his mind back to football. The Chiefs in general need to get their mind back to football and stop bitching about offsides that are actually offsides. But a huge matchup between Medusas and Scoots. Really, really excited to see where that shakes out. I mean, it's feeling like whoever wins that matchup is going to go all the way. But surprisers all year long between the Twins and Hammy. So both those teams we know can put up a lot of points. This is a really great semifinal, Final Four matchup. All these teams show that they can score points, which is why they are where they are at. Let's see what happens. Let's see how it shakes out and see who our two contenders in the championship are going to be for the 2023 season. Now we come to the league decisions. What are we going to talk about in the offseason? What are we going to make decisions on leading for the 2024 season? Couple of big things that we want to talk about. One, home field advantage. Do we like it? Do we not like it? I feel like not many people like it. You might like it if you're the higher seed. You get 3 extra points in the playoffs. You earned that throughout the year based on getting your seed. It's the Adam Vinatieri rule that you get that 3 extra points because no matter what, Adam Vinatieri is going to help you win that game. Think we're probably going to abolish it, but we're going to put it to a vote. Over the years, it's previously been 5 points. We dropped it down to 3. It doesn't feel like there's an appetite to keep that. Sleeper doesn't really have a good function for it, so it does get manually added at the end, which is not a big deal. But if you got to do that, why should you even have it? That's telling us that the dynasty community thinks that maybe that's not really a fun rule. So we'll talk about that one. Put that to the vote. And counter period extension rule. I had a lot of discussion over this over the year. We do have receipts of when it was decided, so we've held firm to that for every trade that has occurred this year. That once that trade gets accepted, there's 24 hours, no matter what, of when counters can occur. But we've seen, people have lives. Sometimes these counters are accepted at wee hours, and there's not enough time in the day to step away from work or your family, or just wake up early in the morning or stay up late at night to be able to truly counter these offers. So there's conversations, not of a huge extension. We don't want to impact too much into whether you actually get the player in time to start them, things of that nature. We definitely don't want to screw other teams out of it just by countering to extend it, but potentially, an extra 4 hours once a counter has been accepted on top of the 24-hour period. Maybe there's some consideration of if you're still within 24 hours and you're within 4 hours, then you put an extension. But if there's still 4 hours left on the clock, you keep the 24 hours, keep it where it was at. So some conversations around that. Obviously, there's takes 2 to tango. So you know what you're getting into when you are accepting a counter offer. So if you do add an extension to the period, you understand that there is an extension to that period. So a lot of things to discuss. We'll come up with some scenarios and again, put it to a vote. We got 14 members here, majority rules. Next item that was talked about last year, and we did not decide to go with it, but is the removal of defensive special teams roster spot and kickers, which we've seen this year mostly with defenses that there are possibilities that defenses can score plus 30 points kind of things. It's wild. It happens, but it's part of the game. And that's, I think, the argument that's going on right now is fantasy football is full of just randomness, and that's just been part of the game. So if you have some truthers, some loyalists to fantasy football that says, yes, Aaron Rodgers can tear his Achilles on the very first drive and you get nothing out of him and you get 0 points, but somehow you still win in that first week. Or you get a defense. Hey, gosh, that sounds like a familiar scenario where maybe Dallas opens up the season and scores 36 points against the New York Giants, shutting them out with 2 defensive touchdowns. And you win your matchup because of that, even without Aaron Rodgers the first week in the game. But that is fantasy football. It happens. But do we want to throttle defenses? Do we want to make a little flip side? Do we want to change the potential for lost points? There's a max of only -4 points if a team blows you up. Whoever had the Chargers against the Raiders still only got -4 for giving up 63 points. So there's a cap on that. We could remove the cap. We could add in yardage specs into it. Right now, we've got it just simply points against kind of thing. Or do we get rid of it altogether? Getting rid of it could open up another roster spot. I know some of you out there are probably thinking, why do we need another roster spot? Free agency is limited as it is. Let's keep with the trades. Trades were up in 2023, which is great to see. That's what Dynasty is all about, trading players, people helping people, holy shirts and pants. So we'll see where that goes. Kickers are being thrown in there as well. I personally like kickers. I kind of like defenses now too, but that's definitely me saying that with the number one defense and the number one kicker this year. So of course I'm going to say I want to keep them. But we'll see how that goes. And if we do decide to get rid of defenses and kickers, how do we reward those teams that did have top scoring and did do well because of having good solid defenses and kickers? Is it compensatory picks? Is it you doing some kind of free agency draft kind of thing? I don't know. More things that come. That's going to be on the list for the Decision Summit in 2024. Another big item that has been coming up recently, mainly by the commissioner who did not make the playoffs this year and seemed to be gruntled by that. Not disgruntled, not gruntled at all. There's no grundling with this person, but they're introducing median scoring. Median scoring. What is median scoring? Median scoring is, you still get your head-to-head matchup. So if you beat your opponent outright, that's a win. Still goes in the win column. But let's say you lost that matchup. That's still a loss. You still get a loss. But let's say you scored a bunch of points and you were in the top 7 scorers in this particular week. You get an extra win for that because you still scored well. You beat out whatever the median average score there was for the league. If you're higher than that, you're on the top end of that, you're getting extra win. So if you get a win head to head and you're above the average, 2-0. If you get a loss and you're above the average, 1-1. If you get a loss and you're below the average, 0-2. So you'll see, you'll have basically an additional game versus the median scoring. So this will help with some of the teams that say, I score a ton of points, but I still get beat because the other team just had a monster week, and I can't control that. I can't control how many points my opponent scores. That's fantasy football. But if you want to try to meter that a little bit, balance it out so that way teams are rewarded for performance versus what their opponent did kind of thing, then you introduce median scoring. So we'll put that to a vote. We'll see what teams like that, what teams want to roll with it, what teams want to stay with a traditional approach. We'll talk about anti-tanking rules. It came up a little bit earlier this year of potentially not starting a player or not filling out your roster, not going to free agency when you could have an option for an injury, things of that nature. If we think that maybe somebody is trying to just lower themselves down and get a better draft pick in the following year, we talked about some fab fines for the first offense, and then maybe draft pick sacrificing there for subsequent anti-tanking behavior. So we'll talk about what that looks like. Let's just don't tank. Don't tank. That's why we have total points scoring and payouts for every game throughout the entire season, is to encourage everybody to put the best roster forward. Try to win your matchups, but it might be necessary. So we'll start talking about that. And then the final item on the registrar is, do we need to introduce last place punishments? Maybe that's part of the anti-tanking measures. It's, a fun little angle that many fantasy football leagues do. Some take it way too far to the extreme, and other people have some nice little fun with it. But that, could increase the community that we have here for everybody to get involved and partake in some of that. We're not going to implement it here in 2023, so don't worry, Capybara, you're going to be all right. But maybe the 2024 last placers got to do something a little dilly for finishing last in fantasy football. What makes that even more fun potentially now is our league is starting to really develop each team. Anybody can win any given Sunday. We saw, preseason predictions were way off. 0-14 with looking at teams looking forward, not knowing what trades could happen, what injuries could happen. Not a single guess was correct in the end of the season. There was definitely some shakeups there. Didn't expect Cap to get the first round pick next year. Didn't expect Cum Sale to finish in 8th place this year. So our league is definitely showing that managers are doing what they need to do to try to win games, and anybody can win in any given week. So last place is never going to be decided very easily. Can't look at a single team right now in 2024 and say they're definitely going to be last place. And yeah, Cum Sale proved me wrong there in 2023. That is for sure. That is what we've got today. We'll be trying to get back with me, co-host me, Eho, Dame Nikki Dench, for our next program here, and hope to get some content out there for you leading up to our championship week. Wish all of the teams still left in the playoffs and those semifinals the best of luck this week. We'll see what championship looks like, and yeah, I think we'll say good day, Fermi. Good day, Fermi.
Thank you for listening to the official podcast of the Public Honors College Fantasy Football League. Cum quickly, cum often, and cum loud.